I didn't set out to write a sad story or a story that might scare people. I just had a passion in terms of what I wanted to say about what was happening in our medical world. And unfortunately, I believe that the primary care physician in particular, but probably most physicians, have become very devalued in our society. Those patients that come into this office who have a myriad number of problems and are complicated to take care of very well understand the situation and express their fear that this particular physician will retire early, or that their other physicians, perhaps specialists that they have, may retire early because of these constraints. So no two people are alike, even if their numbers are the same in terms of their lab tests and their chemistry and the things that have happened to them. There's always a variable, and that's where it takes a listening ear on the part of the physician to know what is the appropriate care for that person. And physicians are, in general, caring, altruistic people, and they are being asked to provide what they consider incomplete or incompetent care. We hear these stories from the patients that come to us now who have been with physicians for perhaps 20 years and have been told that their physicians now can no longer keep up with the expenses of running an office and are therefore finding work in a completely different avenue. I know of one that's becoming a landscape architect. I know another one that's teaching meditation classes. These are all fine jobs to have, but these were people who were highly trained physicians who found that they could no longer provide quality care under the constraints. The rent in this office goes up just like it does in any other office. Meanwhile, doctors are getting paid less and less for their services. So therefore, in order to actually stay in practice, they have to cut short the amount of time they spend with a patient. This is a typical file for a primary care physician's office. Most people who've been in a doctor's office have seen these charts, and personally, if you've had a very quiet health history, it may not concern you that this information will soon be going online in many, many offices across the United States. I personally have somewhat of a rich and varied history, and I really object to the idea of my physician putting this information out there in cyberspace. I don't really believe they can guarantee that it's going to be safe and never hacked into. Black market medicine was an attempt to tell a story that, while I want to tell an entertaining story, it also addresses this idea of this connection between doctor and patient and how this connection could possibly in the future be violated through the various laws that are being passed in our Congress today and have been over a number of years been eroding this particular aspect of medicine. Yes, there is so much science involved, but medicine is something, internal medicine, primary care, pediatrics, all of the primary care aspects of medicine where there is very close personal contact between the doctor and the patient involves if you will, an idea that nothing is going to leave this examining room in terms of information. What is really fun and interesting for me as a writer, and to some extent I think the readers can understand this too, I really enjoy pretending I'm that character and in that situation. Of course, everyone's different. It's fun to hear how one person really likes Marcy and finds her fascinating. Another person really likes the senator in the story. Somebody else might like John, who is a nurse in the future, and the changes he goes through as he's trying to find a way to become the sort of caregiver and healthcare delivery person that would make for him a meaningful job. It's a mainstream novel that is, I think, very, very readable. I also have to sort of apologize, I guess, to my readers because it's kind of a sad point of view. I'm going to read from chapter 1, just the first few lines. Now, she knew there was no God. Janis had long been a believer, but no more. Her body had failed her, and so had her God. For 3 days she had asked God to take her from this life. 3 long, torturous days, filled only with the hell of pain, so intense she felt at times she must be losing consciousness. The cancer had spread. There was no hope, and not the slightest given from caregiver number 42. So in writing this story, that was my jumping off point. I feel like if I were in a bed alone, that misery just has to be beyond anything that I could possibly imagine. And I hope that that isn't what we're looking at in the future.